It's Hughezy, hello, and this is a great one. We got the legendary Anthony Cumia coming on. We've also got the hated John Wanglund coming on to do one of our WatchON classics. Everybody loves them. But first, plugs. Don't forget there's a show, Patreon. Now, believe it or not, some of the stuff that was said in this interview with Anthony had to be censored out because you don't want to trigger off the snowflakes. But if you really do want to hear the whole thing, it's up on the Patreon where you can go right now to hear exclusive content such as the Brian Cage interview, which is up there right now unedited. It won't be released on podcast for about another 2 to 3 weeks. So if you want to go there, you want to hear the Anthony Cumia interview uncut, you want to hear the Perez Hilton interviews uncut, you want to hear all the interviews from the big guests of the past, that's where you can go to get it uncut. Plus, all the money that comes towards the show helps promote the show. I don't get to pocket any of it. Well, some of it, but the majority of it goes on the spending of the show. Don't forget that if you're watching this on YouTube, there's an audio version. Don't forget that if you're listening to this, there's a YouTube version. The podcast is available on all the great apps such as iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, which, by the way, I just hit number 5 in the charts last week on Stitcher. Don't let it go to my head, though. Also, don't forget the Creative Control Network is the host of this podcast. We can also go there to get other shows such as Wrestling with Regret by John Wanglund. You can get Over a Rush by Animal. Yes, the Animal. Highway to Helms, hosted by the legendary Hurricane Helms. And let's not forget the unstoppable David Radigan podcast, who may or may not be interviewing a carrot. Not really, I'm just joking. Take it easy, Dave. Don't forget to follow the Creative Control on Twitter because that's where you can get all exclusive news about certain debuting shows such as American Dirtbags podcast, which is also available on all good streaming apps. Really should go get that now. And don't forget also that if you're a fan of Keeping It 100, go find Keeping It 100 official on YouTube. It's the only official way to hear the show apart from the audio version. And leave comments because that's how you can interact with the show and they will be read out and interacted with on the podcast itself. And the plugs are over. Okay, even though it's Anthony Cumia's on the cover, today we've got John Wanglund coming on. We're going to do one of our WatchON classics. All the ladies love it. All the guys want to join in. This is a legendary one, but which one is it? Well, you got to click on it to find out. So, John, hello. Well, hey, John, thanks for coming back on the podcast.
Always, brother.
Now, the thing is, you and I, we're both big wrestling fans, but I think there's one thing we can agree on is that this next match, quite possibly, maybe the greatest match that there's ever been. Like, I think you would agree with that too, yeah?
Yep, I would agree.
But before we get into it, of course, you also have a YouTube channel. Let's hear the name of that YouTube channel.
Yeah, check us out, guys, at WWR Podcast on YouTube there. Subscribe, like it, and hit your notifications. We'll give you several things a week now.
Awesome. Okay, well, this one, of course, is from WrestleMania 24. And this is, of course, probably the greatest ECW match that there's ever been. This is Kane versus Chavo Guerrero.
God, what a great match, dude.
Incredible. So I'm going to cue it up here. I'm going to hit play. And choke slam, 1, 2, 3. Kane's a champion. John, I thought that was amazing watching that with you.
God, man, that was some stuff that I completely forgot. It was that damn good.
Hey, you should plug your podcast while we've got such a large audience.
Oh, yes, guys. Hit us up. Wrestling with Reality Podcast on Stitcher, iTunes, Google Play, Hipcast, Wrestling with Reality Podcast, and the Creative Control Network.
Okay, thank you, John. Now, up next is Anthony Cumia. Now, I've got to be honest, Anthony is one of my podcasting / radio / comedy heroes. I think the guy is hilarious, and he was one of those guests that I thought, well, I'm never going to get him. So thanks to Keith the Cop, whose real name I don't know. Sorry, Keith. Keith was able to help me set this up, and I got to be honest, I was frankly nervous. So during the show, I forgot to ask Anthony about Compound Media or his book. So, guess what? If you go to Compound Media, which hosts a whole bunch of podcasts, like it's literally got thousands up there. If you join today, you're getting thousands of episodes. All you got to do is use the code COMPOUND20, and you get 20% off all subs. And don't forget about Anthony's book, Permanently Suspended. I got it at Christmas. You can get it off Amazon, you can get it off Barnes & Nobles, and you can get it off compoundmedia.com. Here's the Anthony interview. He is hilarious. I love Anthony. Anthony, hello. Anthony Cumia, thanks so much for coming on the podcast.
Hey, thanks for having me, man.
No, I'm going to tell you, I think you're one of the funniest people ever. Like, you're a mad bastard, and in a good way.
Yeah, thanks, man. It's a lifetime of wasted youth and watching much too much television and maybe drinking a little too much.
So you mean being Irish then?
Yeah, I swear. I think I'd really get along well in Ireland. I've always appreciated the attitude of the Irish, and the Ireland looks beautiful. I've never been there. I definitely, that's one of my bucket list things, is to get my ass over there.
Well, we'd love your ass over here. But can I start by pitching you my idea for a sitcom?
Sure.
And this is for my big, we can pitch it to Netflix, and it'll be called Cumia. And the opening scene is a new neighbor pulls up to your area, and it's a gentleman of, let's just say, foreign descent.
Okay.
And you look at your friend and you go, I'm gonna go right over there and I'm gonna call him a word beginning with N and ending in R. So we cut to Cumia walking up to this gentleman's house, and you go, "Hey, neighbor."
Oh yeah, neighbor. Of course, that's exactly what I would do.
Yeah, but what else would it be, you know?
I don't think I've said 3 words to my actual neighbors. I live in a predominantly Jewish community, and I'm Catholic, so it's kind of difficult to break the ice with all the Jewish people. Around Christmas time, I'm the only guy with lights all over my house and everything. So I think that, and since I've been in so much trouble with the broadcasts that I've done, the news and my personal life, the news sometimes comes and knocks on the door and wants comments, and it gets a little crazy.
Speaking of Jews and speaking of sitcoms, do you think Jerry Seinfeld ever banged Julia Louis-Dreyfus?
Jerry banged Julia. I don't know if that's his type. I think at the time he was into young girls, you know. He was going out with some girl named Shoshana Lowenstein for a while, and I think she was 17 when they hooked up, and he was doing Seinfeld at the time, so I think he liked him a little younger than Julia Louis-Dreyfus.
That Shoshana was a young hooah with big tits. Oh!
Oh!
Have you seen the size of the tits on her? My God! Oh!
He might have banged her.
She had 2 George Costanza's heads for bobbies. Good.
Nice.
But that's the thing, though, is that I can't imagine Jerry even not talking about it, being like, "Hey guys, who are these people who don't want to put their tongue up Elaine's ass?"
So I'm at the bank, and I got my tongue in this chick's ass.
Yeah, it's like,
she was a hooah.
Who are these people who don't want to shoot their goo down her throat?
So good to hear you get some American TV over there.
Oh, well, because we here in Ireland, we don't watch the BBC because we hate the English.
Right.
And so it's all about Americans. So whenever we hear an American swear, it's hilarious. Like, it's just like, I was in New York once, and I heard a gentleman say the word, and I almost dropped my champagne glass. I was laughing so hard. Yeah.
That's hilarious, dude.
Which is, but the best thing is because over here nobody said.
Right.
And the blacks never say.
No, they don't. They say mother. Is a really bad word around women here in the U.S. There have been just horrid fights that people have gotten into in relationships because they dropped that word during an argument. No matter what you're arguing about, once you call a girl, the argument ends and a new argument begins.
Well, the problem with that, over here, the word is said so much that I don't only drop it in arguments, I drop it in Chinese food orders.
Yeah, no, and that's I've heard that. So you guys really do. You hate the English, right?
Yeah, they can all.
I love it. What about the Brexit thing? Like, you guys are kind of like go to the English.
Well, it's kind of worked out for IRA supporters because Ireland can then go independent and rejoin the EU and make all the money.
Oh yeah, I didn't even think about that.
We're taking over. It's okay. But I've got to ask you this, Anthony, and this is a question I wanted to ask you for years. Which voice is easier to stop doing, the Chip voice or the Dice voice?
Yeah, well, the Dice voice will like really chew your throat up, but the Chip one is so much fun to do. Like, I do the Chip voice just walking around my house, or if we're out. The Chip voice always comes in. As a matter of fact, I was just doing the Chip voice minutes ago. We're watching one of these, what is it? David Attenborough Dynasty documentaries about chimpanzees and stuff. And they're walking around, and the chimps are walking around with their just big dicks and balls hanging out. And I was going, look at them monkey peckers. Hilarious. So we're constantly doing Chip impressions. Yeah.
Like, there's the bananas.
What does he think it's a banana? Look, he's sucking on it, pecker.
King Kong. But then, of course, if it was Dice, you'd be all like, hey, look at this banana on this monkey over here.
Yeah, I couldn't. Props.
I bought these glasses. These were £37, just simply so that when I'm drunk, I can walk around going, "She's a hooah!" Ow!
Do people even know who you're doing an impression of?
Oh yeah, because Dice had that new show.
Yeah.
And it was massive hit here, but also Opie and Anthony should I say?
Yeah.
It was massive over here.
Yeah, I heard that. We had a lot of fans from Ireland. Really cool to hear from. That was a thing. It's like, wow, there's fans apparently all over the place. Pretty cool, man. Like I said, I got to get over there.
But the weird thing is, it was all thanks to Howard Stern, because he would never allow his stuff on YouTube, so no one could hear it. But Opie and Anthony was bootlegged like worse than Bruce Springsteen.
Yeah, we didn't give a shit. Yeah, it was good for us to get our stuff out there. More recognition.
Well,
so after I got
fired. Well, after you get fired, Cyrus might as well have blown up because it stinks.
It's terrible. There's just nothing on there now to even listen to. The music you can get anywhere. It doesn't matter. You get Pandora or 8,000 other music systems. And then their talk is just all watered down.
Yeah. Well, speaking of bullshit, and I haven't heard you talk about this news story yet because I haven't heard the Florentine episode of the Anthony Cumia show, but a gentleman was in the news in Chicago the other night called Jussie Smollett or something like that?
Yeah, the guy from Empire,
yeah. Now, I'm just saying, I'm not saying his story was far-fetched, but if he'd have accused two dragons of attacking him, I would believe that slightly more.
Yeah. Well, white supremacists are known to walk around Chicago when it's otherworldly cold out, and look for a random black gay guy to harass.
But the thing is, it's like, and no offense to the guy, because if it did happen, then that's a horrible thing to go through. But if people are racist, they're not going to be watching Empire, so how would they even know who he was?
See, it's common sense like that we just don't have here in the United States, because that's a great point. No one would watch it. No one would know who he was. And nothing would happen to him. This sounds to me like he got a little bit of a spat, a little tiff with his boyfriend. His boyfriend maybe knocked him around a little bit. And then he needed an excuse because he's been telling all his friends what a sweetheart the guy is. And if he's got some bruises and a couple of cuts, he's got to come up with a story. So the greatest story you could ever have is that guys with Trump MAGA hats on were assaulting him. So I guess they ran with that one, but it really.
If he hadn't have said the MAGA hat stuff, I honestly think people would believe him.
Yeah, that was a little too much. Put it a little too far over the top. The truth is, the MAGA hat people here don't do anything. They literally, like the kid in Washington, D.C. with the Indian guy hitting the drum that caused a big stir. They just stood there. They stood there and did literally nothing, and they caught hell like like it was cowboys in the Old West going through an Indian village. It's ridiculous.
But it's the crazy thing, because I'm not right wing, but I'm not left wing, and I've got like an interracial family. Like my brother, he's one of them, you know. But I feel sorry for Americans that unless you're like some sort of hyper liberal vegan transsexual, then you're being called a bigot and a racist, and I think it's so unfair.
It's all that goes on now. There's a group of people on social media and TV, and it usually is like that Hollywood liberal left that is just looking. They can't wait for the next victim that they could call some kind of an ist or a phobe or something that they could bury them and try to ruin their career. And it's affecting entertainment, especially comedy. Like the stand-up comics around here, to say stuff on stage that normally, for decades has been hilariously funny. It's still funny, but they're petrified to say anything because the camera is going to record them, take it out of context, post it online, and the next thing you know, this guy can't get a gig anywhere.
Well, I am afraid to say whatever I want. Don't make fun of a black guy. Oh!
He's got the glasses and everything.
Yeah, no, because dry January's over, so I will be out drinking tomorrow.
Oh, right. So you were doing dry January?
Yeah, well, it was sort of half health, half I kicked the shit for December.
Yeah, those holidays will do it. Yeah.
So talk to me. So you sort of spoke a little bit about it there, but the idea of possible shows over here in Ireland or UK, do you think that could ever happen?
Yeah, I would love to do that, and I know a lot of comics that have done very well when they've gone over, and to do a show, we do a live show, and then bring comics. We could have a comedy night and broadcast live from obviously some kind of venue we could drink at. I think that'd be awesome. I really think that would be the ultimate trip to Ireland, man.
Yeah, I would love that, and especially like because again, I don't think you guys fully take into, because like it's not very PC over here. Like you get a couple of whiny bastards, but when it comes to because like over here, I always say you can't get offended by a racist joke if your dad owns at least 7 guns.
Yeah, I know. It's well, over here, of course, jokes about race or sex and guns, all that goes into a category of people that the left just want to eliminate. They don't even want to talk about it. They're restricting freedom of speech. If you look on social media, they're kicking some of the funniest people I've known off of there. Gavin McInnes got thrown off. Alex Jones, Milo Yiannopoulos. Like, there are some funny just have nowhere to go now because of their ideology and their jokes, and that to me is some powerful.
But the thing that's funny to me is, because I've got to be honest, if I would have been able to vote in the elections, I probably wouldn't have voted for Trump. But when I'm speaking to some sort of hyper liberal, I will promote Trump like he's my dad. And
I voted for Trump, but I didn't vote for Trump because I thought, wow, this is a great guy who's going to do great things. I wanted to let all those politicians know this is how bad you that we elected this guy. Now let that sink in, you son of a bitch. That's what my vote was cast for, to let them know that.
And the thing that's funny to me is they better pray to the Scientology god Xenu that Trump doesn't get impeached, because if he does, and Mike Pence, they're going to be praying for the glory days of Donald Trump.
Yeah, he is one of those real hardcore conservative, religious, right-wing guys, and I don't think people understand actually how willing to compromise Trump is, and how he's not just a textbook right-wing conservative. They have him painted out as being, Hitler. And the truth of the matter is, Trump's favorite thing is Trump. So you got to look at they call him a narcissist and egotistical. Yeah, and he wants America to succeed so he can say, look what I did. Well, if the end result is we're all better off, I don't give a shit. If it's a vanity thing, or he wants to be able to go down in history as the greatest president ever, that seems to me to be pretty good for everybody. And if you ever want that job anyway, you're an egotistical, narcissistic. Who wants to be leader of the free world? Get the f*** out of here. I can barely control my own life.
But that's one of the things. I had to laugh that the day, there was within 48 hours of him going into the presidency, there was the Women's Rights March, and they were complaining about their lack of rights, and you wanted to go, hey, you do know that that's because of Obama, right? Obama. It's like,
yeah, well, Obama is still looked at here like he's revered, like some kind of saint. And the truth of the matter is, his 8 years of being president was really detrimental to this country on every front, financially, ethically, as far as division between races and religions and everything. That all came about under Obama. And then Trump gets in there, and the one unifying thing for Americans is cash, money. If he could come up with jobs and cut our taxes, let us have a little more money in our bank accounts, that unites Americans, believe me. And, he doesn't care about black or white or religion. He just cares about make America successful, and then whoever lives here will have the table set to become successful. The Democrats and liberals all seem to want to keep you in a state where you need them. Look at the homeless. Look at the horrible poverty. Look at this. They never want to fix it because they always want to say, we'll fix it for you. But they never do anything. So they hold it over your head, and that seems to be what they've been doing for forever.
You're like, I don't care if you're black or white. I just like green.
Wonderful, terrific, great people. Where are my African Americans? Where are they? Where are they? I love his speeches.
That's why you should actually play a game on the podcast, like Dice or Trump. Who said it?
You probably wouldn't be able to tell quite a few times. I've seen Trump at there was a roast years ago on Comedy Central where a bunch of comics came out and roasted Donald Trump, and there was some really distasteful racial, sexual jokes. He's laughing his ass off, and he didn't change over the period of between the roast and his presidency. He still finds, but I love how he drives the left crazy. I can't get enough of watching him and driving everyone in the world nuts.
And as a former, well, as a current wrestling fan, I just love the fact that he let Steve Austin do the stunner on him at WrestleMania.
Yeah. Isn't he's the president now, and there he was in the ring with Steve Austin doing the. He had this stunner done to him, and then what did he do to Vince? He
Clothesline.
yeah. Trump did something. He hit him with a. He might have hit him with a chair.
It's like, God damn it, Mr. President.
You're fine.
But Anthony, I gotta ask you about Artie Lange. Now it's a very sad thing what Artie's going through, but kind of something that needs to happen. If we're being honest, so talk to me about working with Artie and what you think about what's happened to Artie recently.
Yeah, he well, obviously he's had drug issues for God forever. When we brought him on board, he had said he was clean, and we knew he wasn't, but he wasn't so couldn't come in and work. And when he wasn't totally falling down, he's one of the funniest guys you'll ever meet. And he was really good on the show when he wasn't completely. It was some of the most difficult shows to do because you're trying to get through a topic and he's changing the topic every 2 seconds because he doesn't know what he's talking about. But everyone that's known him over the years has felt bad, and you want to help him, but it's the old adage, he has to want to help himself. So we just had to let him go. It was getting a little too crazy. And watching what's happened to him lately, he just got arrested the other day and put in jail, and the mugshot is horrific. It is just awful. It looks like something's crawling out of his nose, and his nose is completely a giant blob on his face. He can't stop doing drugs. I really think he needs a good year away from everything, just intense help with this issue that he has for a good year, and see what happens after that.
He's got a nose like a horse pussy. Speaking of pussies, I'm a fan of you. I'm a fan of Jimmy, but I'm also a fan of Opie. So I'm not trying to trick you into bad mouthing him or anything. But do you think that it is possible that you two, even not so much to do a reunion show, but do you think that you two could like make up and be friends again at some point?
I'm not sure. Like, I've always been open to him coming on the show or something like that. I would have gone on his show and things like that. But Opie's been more of he takes things very personally. He holds on to grudges and anger for a long time, and that would probably be more up to him. But regardless of whatever happened, it could never go back to being what it was. I think a lot of people know that and understand that. But as far as even being civil with each other, look, I'm willing to sit down and talk to anybody. I really don't hold a grudge. There's literally, I think, 2 or 3 people that I've ever known in my life that I just wouldn't ever talk to. And I've known a lot of people and been around for quite a while. So I'm pretty good with letting things go and moving past things. Him, not so much. So he's doing what he does. He's got a podcast on the Westwood One Podcast Network, the Opie Radio Podcast. And, I have no qualms about people enjoying what he does and people enjoying what Jimmy does. Me and Jimmy are still like best of friends. I love that little fag. So that's what it is. But as far as Opie goes, it's kind of in his court. But the future doesn't look very promising at this point.
Have you heard the rumor that Opie has fallen out with the Mad Cuban?
I did not hear that.
Yeah, apparently Carl hasn't been on the podcast in nearly a month.
Oh shit! Oh man. I
So,
didn't know that. I like Carl a lot. Carl is a talented guy. He's funny. He's a regular Joe kind of a guy, and he's successful. He's got a pretty good thing going. He, if you could make food interesting, I don't know. Seems like a pretty boring topic to me, but if you could, the way he does it, he's a funny guy. So, no, I haven't heard that one, but well, that would be rough for the Opster because Carl's pretty good.
yeah. But well, everybody falls out and makes up, and everyone sucks each other's, you know.
Come here, suck my and we'll call it quits. Oh.
So I'm standing at the bank, just about to do the joke you did earlier, but So Anthony, I gotta ask you this, and we can skip over it if you want, because it's not really. But I'm sure you're aware that there's a YouTube guy called Beige Frequency, who's made a documentary series about you. So I was just
yeah. He did one on me, one on Jimmy, and stuff. Yeah, there's always going to be people that YouTube or social media, and they'll either love you or hate you, or a mixture of the two, or one week it's one thing, one week it's the other. Some people right and it's accurate. Other people completely miss the mark and get everything wrong, and it's the nature of the beast when you've been in the public eye for as many years as I have. That people are going to give you, and you just got to kind of deal with it.
yeah, because so I take it you don't sit around watching them all, then, yeah.
No, I spend much of my time doing the show and playing video games these days. That's pretty much what I do.
Well, speaking of your free time, I just want to thank you for doing this, and we're just coming up to the last two questions, and I ask everybody these, and they're big, important questions. So here's the first one: who's the better band, Queen or the Beatles?
Oh my God, my girlfriend's looking at me right now saying, "You better fucking say the right thing." When I was growing up, because I've been on the old mortal coil for a while here. I enjoy the Beatles. I mean, my parents would play them all the time, and those songs got ingrained in my head and whatnot. But Queen is awesome.
Mm.
It's and the movie I thought was really done well. It could have turned into a parody very easily and looked like this is Spinal Tap. They didn't drop the ball on that one, and their songs are amazing. His voice is like just an amazing original rock voice. So I think as far as legendary status goes, you got to give it to the Beatles. But just for sitting back and listening to music enjoyability, especially these days, I would take Queen. Yeah.
The thing I loved about that film was apparently Freddie's biggest problem was that he was a heavy drinker.
Yeah.
It's like, and not the fact that he constantly had custard coming out of his fucking ass.
The Irish Dice is awesome. I love it, man. Yeah. I want to know who was on the receiving end of those wood chipper teeth. Oh, I'd sooner stick my in a piece of farm machinery.
Well, here's we've come to the final question, and this is the big one.
Yes,
and if you get this wrong, it's all done. No podcast, no radio career, no fan base, right?
Damn.
The Spice Girls are back. Who's your favorite Spice Girl?
Oh, wow. People aren't going to really, I don't think they're going to like this, but when back in the day, when they would pop on a show, my eye would instantly be drawn, oddly enough, to Stupid Sporty Spice. I kind of liked her. She had a pretty nice body on her. The other one, I don't know. Baby Spice looked like a Cupid doll, and I I don't know. And then who's the other one married to Beckham? What? Posh Spice. You know, I don't go that way.
And the other one.
Yeah. Well, you know. No,
She looks like a fuck, well, you know, Eddie Murphy's wife.
oh.
But this, Anthony, can I ask one favor from you, by the way?
Sure.
One of my other jobs in podcasting is I edit for this sports podcast called Keeping It 100. And one of the guys on there is a retired wrestler called Disco Inferno.
Yeah.
And he refuses to do my podcast out of spite. So what I've tried to do is with celebrities that I get to talk to, I got Perez Hilton to do it. Can I ask you to do a quick request for him to come on my podcast?
Oh, cool. Yeah. What was his name again?
Disco Inferno.
Disco Inferno.
That's not his.
Hey, Disco Inferno. What are you doing? Do the podcast. You wear tights like a girl. You wrestle around with men, sweaty men. What are you doing? It'll make you look more manly. So do the goddamn podcast.
That was absolutely perfect. Anthony, I want to thank you for your time. You're a real hero of mine. You're hilarious. And I'd love to interview you again in a few more months down the line.
Absolutely, man. And I tell you, when we decide to venture out there, I'll give you a call. I'd like you to, show me some pubs.
Oh, you've got it. I know a guy that knows a guy.
There you go. I know a guy that knows a guy. Also, let all your friends over there in Ireland know I have a book, Permanently Suspended, it's called. And it's available online at Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com, and of course, CompoundMedia.com. It's got all the history of the Opie and Anthony show and the twisted upbringing that I had and things that went on after I got fired from the O&A show. So, pretty interesting book.
I actually got it at Christmas, and it's bloody good, as they say in England.
Thank you, my friend.
There you go. You heard it. Anthony Cumia called me friend. That means we're best friends. Dave Landau, that chair is mine. It's Hughezy. Bye-bye.